Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. Ahem.
Hello.
Happy Monday, November 8th, 2021. We got a lot to get to today. Mainly that we're back and we're better than ever. Except for I apparently have a frog in my throat now. We are giving away this Xbox Series S.
Series S.
I'm a little rusty this morning.
Hello. Is this thing on?
Just like I was just talking for 15 minutes and didn't have a single...
It's a projection.
Hi. Should get a cough button. Anyway, the point is we're giving away this Xbox Series S. When we get to 3,000 subs, we're like 300 away from that, so rock and roll. All you have to do is hit subscribe, take a picture that you're subscribed, tag us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, and you are entered to win the Xbox I Am the Monty Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Jake is SLC Supercars on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. A lot to get to today. I think we have to talk about the Jazz, which we will do coming up. How was Florida? We'll talk about that coming up. I got to hit the Utes, who dismantled Stanford Friday night. That was incredible. We've got to talk about our trip. We boarded our dogs, and I am traumatized by it. I was, seriously traumatized. And we're going to start the show by talking BYU football. And the big question on everybody's mind, Jake, is has BYU earned a New Year's Six bowl bid? Have they done enough? Obviously, the scrimmage against Idaho State, your Georgia Southern matchup, and then you have USC on the schedule. I don't know if I can confidently say today they've done enough, Jake, but in your opinion, does BYU belong in a New Year's Six bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I think, right here today, yeah, you still have some proving to do, but I do think this particular year, yeah, I think they do, and the reason for that, well, there's actually a couple of reasons. Number one, I think if you end your season on a high, and we've been talking about this all year long, and it's funny how all this has played out, but if you end your season on a high, and let's say that you handle USC on the road, let's say that you beat USC by 14 points, let's say, in a comfortable fashion, in a dominant fashion, you can't tell me you're not going to get rewarded with a New Year's Six bowl by the people, ranking teams. I just can't see a world where BYU goes on the road and does that, and they're not rewarded. That would be really surprising to me. Secondly, I think, the ESPN relationship, how many eyeballs are on BYU, you can't tell me that those things are not being taken into account by the people ranking teams. And so, to me, have they done enough to earn a spot right here today? No. But if you go out and you win these last two games, then yes, in my opinion, you have. And I think for BYU as a program, getting into a New Year's Six bowl would be the perfect, cherry on top to what's been a really, what I think we could all agree has been an up and down season. You've played good football for the most part. You feel like if you hadn't had all those turnovers against Boise, that maybe we'd be having a different conversation right now. But at the end of the day, you're still right here, and you still have a lot to play for. So, yes, I think, assuming they win these last two games and they beat USC comfortably, you've done enough, in my opinion, to be in a New Year's Six bowl.
Well, and I think that's the biggest question. Will you have done enough? Today, I think they have. I think, obviously, it's not good enough. We're only on November 8th. But I think when you look at the fact that you're going to finish at USC and you're probably going to beat them, because I don't think USC has any idea what they're doing with quarterbacks. This whole Jackson Dart situation, the way they're using him, sometimes he's playing, sometimes he's not. Like, it's really bizarre. I think you got to hand him the football and let him play. But I think if they beat USC, especially at USC, and I don't care who's hurt and who's not, it is not a diminished win. It is another win over a top 20, a perennial college football powerhouse is the way to say it. 6 wins, over P5 teams. Like, there's no way to knock what BYU has done. Would you have loved to have gone undefeated? Sure, any team would. But how many undefeated teams are left? And if you look at the way the college football playoff is going now, you can't tell me that a team like a Cincinnati, who barely hung on to win over the weekend, is more deserving than BYU. And to me, Jake, that's the conversation. If you look at the teams that are currently set up to be in a New Year's Six and to be in the college football playoff, I just don't know how you justify, like everybody's hot on UTSA right now. Everybody's hot on Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
How can you look at the schedule that BYU's played and then be more impressed with Cincinnati, be more impressed with teams like UTSA? I just don't see how that's possible.
Yeah, I think for like Cincinnati fan or UTSA fan, like I think what they're leaning on is the fact that the Pac-12 is not a good conference, and really right now in the top 25, the Pac-12 has the fewest teams in the top 25 with one, and that's Oregon. So I think if you're a Cincinnati fan, the case that you're going to make is that, hey, sure, BYU has 5 P5 wins and will likely have 6 P5 wins by the time the season's over, but who are those P5 teams compared to who we've played? Now that would be Cincinnati fans' take. My take is it doesn't really matter to in the big scheme of things for BYU if their P5 opponents are Alabama or if it's Stanford, right? Or if it's UCLA or whoever. The fact is you're able to say as a BYU fan, yeah, man, we've got 5 P5 wins and we've got 1 bad loss. I mean, that's a pretty good resume to be, sitting on. And, and I think, again, that's why this USC game has always been so important. And that's why I appreciate, the scheduling and the job that Tom Holmoe's done, because at the end of the day, think about it. If you didn't have the USC game on your schedule to end the year, what are we really looking at here, right? I mean, if you had another Waxahachie State to end the season, you don't have any way to justify
Waxahachie State.
But I know all jokes aside, I'm being serious. Like if you don't have that one last big game on your schedule to end the year, and send a clear message that you are better than SC, and you're better than Utah, even though I think, we're going to get to Utah. I think if BYU and Utah played again, I think there'd be a different outcome, frankly, but it doesn't matter. You beat Utah this year. So that's why I say there's a lot at play here. But at the end of the day, for BYU, regardless of what Cincinnati fan thinks, you have to beat USC and you have to beat them in a dominant fashion to get to the New Year's Six Bowl. And I think they will do that.
Yeah, I think it is a foregone conclusion at this point that BYU's had one of the best seasons in the history of the program. But is it diminished if you don't get a New Year's Six Bowl? I think there will be a significant level of disappointment. I mean, you come out, you're 14th in the AP top 25. You would think that you would move up based on who's lost in the college football playoff rankings. You would think that you would be probably somewhere around 12 this week. I mean, you're really close. You are really close. Now, you're also into a bye here. You're then going to play a Georgia Southern team that you should dismantle. So where are we going to be in 3 weeks when you're getting ready for USC?
You're not going to – there's no way that BYU should be past, 20th, right? But you're going to – there's going to be – you're going to fall.
20th?
You're going to fall in the rankings off your bye week. That always happens for teams, right? Where,
No, I totally disagree. They're not going to be 20th. There's no justification.
No, I'm not saying they're going to be 20th. I'm saying they're not going to fall past that. I'm saying that they're going to be in the teens somewhere, and that SC win is going to define whether they get
I totally disagree. I think that where they are this week is where they're going to be after their bye. I don't think you punish a team for a bye week. I don't think it matters that their bye is in November. I think BYU should rightfully be around 12th when the college football playoff rankings come out tomorrow. I think that you're hoping for a larger jump than that, but it would seem like, and this is just my opinion based on what we saw in the AP Top 25, it would seem like there's a lot of, love for teams like Wake Forest. I think it'll be interesting to see where, the Michigan States of the world end up. Because you're looking at teams, frankly, that, in my opinion, get a lot more love than they deserve in the AP top 25. And I think that's why the college football ranking is so much more important, because I think that you have industry professionals judging that. And I think the AP top 25 has been, there's a lot of pollstering that goes on. There's a lot of politicking that goes on that I think is not present for the college football playoff. But the idea that you would almost punish BYU because of a bye week, I think is a bit much. I think BYU should be 12th, in my opinion, when those rankings come out. And I think a week from now, they should still be 12th. And I think they're going to steamroll Georgia Southern. And this goes to the conversation we were having watching this game. Like, why did you pull your second, or why did you pull your first string so early in this game? Like, I mean, it is a little disappointing that BYU did not try to put up 65, 70 points in this game. I think it's mandatory. And I think that you're playing a team in Idaho State who doesn't belong on the same field with you. Take advantage of that. And injuries are part of football. Injuries are going to happen. Football hurts. Obviously, we saw that against Idaho State. But you need to send a message with these two games. And I don't think BYU did that, frankly, against Idaho State. I think they missed an opportunity to really, really send a message. And I don't know why you wouldn't have done that. In my opinion, that was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, that's what these games are about. I mean, that's what, that we see this every single year. You've got some powerhouse team just kicking the living hell out of some team that shouldn't be on the same field with them. And I feel like, those are the kind of games where you want to put up 60 or 70 so that on the next day on ESPN on the stringer, it says BYU 71, Idaho State 10.
Because no poll voter is going to be watching that game.
Yeah.
And frankly, I doubt many in the college football playoff are going to be watching that game. But what my point is that they watch the box scores. Mm-hmm. They watch the tickers of they watch the wrap-up shows. You need to put a highlight tape on film. And to me, I don't know that BYU did that. And if it was up to me, I'd have run that score up. I would have absolutely taken every snap possible with my ones, and I would have boat raced Idaho State right off the field, because I'm here to prove a point. And what's the point of scheduling Idaho State in November if that's not what you're doing? Because I guarantee you next week that's what Alabama and Nick Saban are going to be doing. Mm-hmm. So I would have liked to see BYU be a heck of a lot more aggressive with with their tactics in that game. Now, hey, if they come out of the bye and you're right with some crazy scenario where they're not in the top 20 anymore, maybe you do that. But I'd do it anyway. I don't know. I'm merciless in that way. And, maybe this is part of the issue that, we always talk about. Is Kalani soft? Is Kalani showing too much heart for his opponent? The problem with that theory is I'm not here for the opponent. I'm here for what's best for BYU football.
Yeah.
And that to me feels like an issue. So we'll see. I don't know. To round this conversation out, I do feel like BYU has done quite a bit. Now you have some work to do against USC, but BYU's done quite a bit to earn a New Year's Six bowl, and I think they belong there. I really do. I think if BYU is if BYU's not in a New Year's Six bowl, I would be incredibly disappointed.
It would be surprising, in my opinion. I mean, I just don't know why.
If you run the table.
Yeah, if you run the table, assuming you run the table, it would be surprising that they would not be there. I mean, again, if you run the table, you have the ability to say, hey, man, we've got 6 P5 wins. Like, we have dominated this schedule.
Yeah.
We've got one bad loss. One loss where you're like, man, we just played like crap. We turned the football over. We just did not play well. And then, yeah, go ahead.
But then what do you say to Oklahoma? Oklahoma's 9-0, and Cincinnati's ranked ahead of Oklahoma in the AP top 25.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. And, I look at Georgia, 9-0, number one, 63 first place votes, not a question in my mind.
Yeah, I think if you're a Cincinnati fan, like you're getting what you asked for. And I feel like, you made a point last week about Notre Dame, about how, Notre Dame has all this brand recognition, but every time they get to the college football playoff, they get their face punched in. And that's what I
Yep.
feel like. And I'm not trying to hate on Cincinnati fan, but that's what I feel like is going to happen here. Cincinnati is going to get in a college football playoff and they're going to get stomped. And that's because they haven't played anybody. They're not a proven team. So I don't know, man. I understand, that we have to value undefeated teams at this point in the season, but I just can't, I can't get down with, Cincinnati, somehow having this powerhouse program all of a sudden, and everyone thinks that they're going to go out and win a national championship, because I just don't see it.
But this is again what I say about Wake Forest. Wake Forest has a nice win or two. They should not be ranked ahead of BYU, in my opinion. I look at Wake and I say to myself, okay, I guess I get it. You're in a P5 conference. BYU's an independent. But are we talking about who's a better football team? I think BYU has a better resume. I know BYU has a better resume. I look at the projections. Obviously you're looking at major brands. I would be really surprised if Georgia and Alabama didn't meet in the SEC championship game. How much do you discount the loser of that game?
I think they have to pay a price, but at the end of the day, listen, at the end of the day, what to me, what the college football playoff should come down to overall is this mix of, okay, we know we have the two best teams in the country, right? And this is why I feel like everyone is so surprised about Alabama being number 3. We know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, that Alabama is a better team than Cincinnati. We all know that. So the college football playoff should simply come down to the two best teams, Georgia and Alabama, and then everybody else. And this is where I feel like, you can't have 3 losses if you're trying to get into the college football playoff. That just can't be a reality if you want to be there. So penalizing teams for losing at the top end, yeah, if you have 3 losses, you should be done. That's just I think that's just how it works.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with BYU. I think there's just as much intrigue with Utah.
Mm-hmm.
If Utah ends up in the Rose Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
even if they don't win the Pac-12 championship, if you look at where the rankings are now, there's a lot of people, who have Oregon going to the Cotton Bowl. And that puts whoever, the runner-up is into the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's going to be either Oregon or Utah. So, Utah's in a really good position, dismantling Stanford.
Yeah.
Absolutely just breaking them in half.
Isn't it a bit surprising they're not in top 25? Like even the low end of the top 25?
I am stunned that Utah's not ranked in the top 25.
Yeah.
This has been a nutty college football season. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And you know what? I know that Cincinnati fan hates that we have a lot of Cincinnati fans who comment on this show. I get it. I just don't think that there's a genuine argument for teams like Cincinnati and Wake Forest.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. If you're going to do it as an independent, I don't know how BYU's not the blueprint.
Yeah, they've done a hell of a job.
I really don't know. I don't know what else you could ask BYU to do other than what they've done. Obviously you would rather have not turned the ball over 26 times and lost to Boise.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have liked to have had some semblance of a quarterback who was able to play quarterback against Baylor. But other than that, you've looked pretty good the rest of your schedule. I have no respect for what Cincinnati's done. It's a joke to me that they're ranked number 2 in the country. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
To me, it's embarrassing with that schedule. How am I the only one that's not appalled that Cincinnati's number 2?
It makes you wonder, or at least makes me wonder personally, like, if the committee's sitting around saying, okay, we know we've got Georgia and Alabama in this thing, and we know we've got a couple of weeks to make them the 2 best teams in the country and everything. So, how much of the, hey, we need people talking about this, TV ratings, all that kind of a thing, is the Cincinnati at number 2 thing? It makes me wonder about that.
Yeah, and I just think, there's going to be a lot of people that, that devalue the Pac-12, or BYU can only play the teams that they've scheduled. A team like Cincinnati is in a weak-ass conference and has played subpar competition. So are we going to devalue Cincinnati because of their subpar competition? Well, no, they're the number 2 team in the country. So then why are we devaluing BYU?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't reconcile in my mind that Cincinnati gets all the respect that they get. It just doesn't. And again, this is why I tell you, I don't care who's the 9th string tailback at BYU. I don't ever want to hear their name. I don't want to see him on the field. I want to see Tyler Algier pounding Idaho State. I want to see Jaron Hall pounding Idaho State.
Mm-hmm.
I want 60, 70 points on the board against Idaho State. You didn't get that. And when you're trying to make a New Year's Six Bowl, do you understand the money? Do you understand the prominence? Do you understand you're already continuing week after week? It feels like BYU gets a huge recruiting win. Put up 60 points and go to a New Year's Six Bowl and see what that does.
Yeah.
Yet, Utah's having one of the worst seasons in Kyle Whittingham's tenure. Right? I mean, all the adversity off the field in the last 12 months, like just horrendous. You feel terrible. And now all of a sudden you've run your Pac-12 slate. You're going to probably end up in the Rose Bowl. And there's an argument to be made that Utah had a better season than BYU, regardless of what happened in the rivalry game.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Well, and that's because Utah's going to play in the Rose Bowl, and you're going to play in the Pool and Weed Eater Bowl. And so I just don't understand the philosophy of, let's take our foot off the gas. We've got to play the 38th string right tackle to make sure that we have depth. It makes no sense. I don't care who the X depth player is.
Yeah.
We're not here to play. Everybody gets a participation ribbon. Don't care. We're here to go to a New Year's Six Bowl. We're here to win football games. We're here to make money.
Facts.
Exactly right. What's the church all about? Making money. So let's not talk about, like there was an argument Saturday night on Twitter. Well, morally speaking, fuck morals. I'm not here for morals. I'm here to win football games. Excuse my French. Because I was again told over the weekend I cursed too much.
I really don't care if you think it's sus.
Yeah, I get it. I curse too much. Whatever. My point is, I'm not here to play nice guy.
Yeah.
We're here to win football games. We're here to go to New Year's Six bowl games. Why was it such a big deal then you got into the Big 12? Why was it such a big deal? What does getting into the Big 12 mean to you?
I don't know.
We get to print nice hats and T-shirts? No. What it means is that BYU has access to a national championship. But we're nice, Yeah, we have a touchdown lead. We better take a knee. No, we don't take knees. No. We put 60, 70 points on Idaho State, and we send a message that we belong playing in a game on New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what playing football games is all about, period. All right, let's get some of the comments in here. Q Sam says, bless you, Monty. No, Q Sam, bless you. The Blind Swordsman says, morning, boys. Nice to see y'all again. How was your trip? It was all right. We'll talk about it at the end. The actual snowboarding part of it was great. Until there was a weather hold. But anyway, Neville93 says, good morning, guys. What a disappointing weekend for the Jazz. Yeah, we'll talk about that coming up, too. One note with Cincy, the Swordsman says, they struggled against a team BYU would crush. So, yeah, BYU should have more of a resume than Cincy, but what do I know? They do.
Yeah.
Clint Griffith says, BYU, the tackling has got to improve. Absolutely. I would agree with it. There's a lot of fundamentals that have to improve. This is a Dak Prescott argument.
Yeah, seriously.
Dallas is getting torched, and Dak Prescott is in the game in the final 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And people are losing their minds.
I think that's HIPAA.
Dak Prescott's in the game so they can feel good about their offense next week. Right? That to me, that's the bottom line. I want people to understand that football is a huge, huge mental game. It is a huge mental game, and I'm just telling you right now that BYU missed an opportunity against Idaho State.
Absolutely.
Daryl says Kalani's too nice to visiting coaches. Maybe. Tanner says BYU wanted to avoid injuries. Well, did they do that? Oh, wait, they didn't do that. No, you don't avoid injuries in football. They happen. They happen.
We're not at that time in the year anymore. Like, do we? We're on the same page about that, right? Like we're past. This isn't week 2, right? Like we're in November here. We're in November, and BYU has something to play for. This isn't like, hey, yeah, let's just have a nice season and get to 6 wins. We're past that time in BYU history. I mean, we're talking about New Year's Six bowls and getting into the Big 12 and all this great stuff. So with all due respect, I just can't get down with, hey, we're trying to run injury prevention out there. If you were trying to run injury prevention out there, why was Jaron playing against Baylor? Help me.
Yeah. The injury thing, and there's 3-4 people who mentioned it. It's football. Football hurts. Guys get hurt no matter who they are or where they are. Playing football hurts, and you're going to get hurt. BYU fan CJ, good morning to you, says it was nice seeing who we have behind Algier, not named Katoa. No, it wasn't. No, actually, it was not.
Why is this a thing?
I don't know why it was a thing.
Help BYU fan. Help me understand. Why, in a time, again, this is the important part, in a time when you're trying to justify getting into a New Year's Six bowl, when you're trying to do bigger and better things in the program.
When you are on the precipice of history.
Why do we give a damn about the Jacob Conover of running backs? Why do we care? Right? Like cool. We saw who was behind Peeney. Great. That doesn't matter. You got to have, against these crap teams that are not nearly on your level, you got to have 60, 70 points. You have to. That's the whole point of playing these people in November.
Will you be saying that it was nice to see who running the back depth was when you're playing in a meaningless bowl game?
Right? Like, as a BYU fan,
absolutely meaningless.
Like, are you going – because you can't have it both ways. So you can't say, okay, well, against Idaho State, we definitely saw our depth, and that was great to see. And then 3 weeks later, be upset when you didn't get into a New Year's Six bowl. You can't have it both ways. And so that's why I say – yeah, neat, you have depth, but at the end of the day, 65 points is much more valuable than seeing who the 15th string running back is on this team.
How many times can you say that you scored 60 points back-to-back? How many times can you say you should have scored 70 points against Idaho State? You should have.
Yeah.
59-14 to me is you missed an opportunity. And again, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that, hey, it's really frustrating to me. This whole argument is, with all due respect to Jackson McChesney, and McChesney's a nice player. You ran for 4.3 yards a carry against Idaho State. Congratulations.
Sorry, folks, that's what it is.
Congratulations. I would rather not have ever seen Jackson McChesney play and had Tyler Algier run for 250, 300 yards and go to a New Year's Six bowl and then do it, do that again in 2 weeks against Georgia Southern in a uniform I cannot stand, all white and royal with a royal helmet with all white. Huge mistake, but that's just me. Go out there and do it again and score 70 against Georgia Southern, and then go to SC and win another game and go to a New Year's Six bowl. Be a top 10 ranked team. Because that's the thing. Like, when's the last time BYU finished the season, a full season, ranked in the top 10?
Couldn't tell you.
When's the last time that BYU had national respect across the board? That's what you're playing for. And nobody seems to care. I feel like BYU fan has largely been like, yeah, the season's over. This was a nice season. Hey, way to go, fellas. Way to go. Neat. Okay, can I get my Big 12 t-shirt now? Like, that's what I feel like where BYU fan is at. And it's incredibly disappointing. It's incredibly disappointing. I just don't. I don't know why it doesn't matter more. I don't know why it doesn't matter more. Wow, comment dump. Mind Axiom says, I think the game in Vegas that set the record was full of BYU fans, also made the Cougs more intriguing to the committee. Okay. That was 2 months ago against Arizona, who's turned out, by the way, to be very not much good. Daryl says, who's better, Cincy in 21 or no, I'm not going to say that name, Daryl. I'm not doing it. I will never say the 2C word ever again on the show. Never. And it's the 2C word. Anyway, Cincy would, BYU fan CJ says, Cincy would get beat by any of the top 15. They aren't great and did the Boise model. They lose against SMU or a playoff team. Maybe. Daryl says, hey, it was senior day. CJ says,
senior day.
BYU fan CJ says, haha, Utah had a better season. The only reason they see the roses is because of the Pac-12. Yep, but that's the formula.
The only reason. Yeah, they're in the Pac-12, dude. What do you mean
They haven't
the only
lost.
reason?
Do you understand? They haven't lost a thing, Utah. They haven't lost a thing. They have run through their schedule, won every game they needed to win. Would have been nice to beat Oregon State, I agree. But who cares? What, like, you can't they're likely going to the Rose Bowl. How do you discount that in any way, shape, or form? And this is the Greg Wrubell tweet over the weekend. Like, this is what I don't understand about BYU fan. How do you find the nerve to discount a Rose Bowl? How do you have the balls to do that? I don't understand that at all. I don't get it. It's the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Who cares how you got there?
You got there.
You're in the Rose Bowl. So explain to me how that's at all a bad thing. And by the way, with the adversity that Utah has faced, yeah, they've had a phenomenal season. And I could make the argument that their story and the way that they've won, yeah, I could argue, especially if BYU loses to SC, I could argue that Utah's had a better season. If they go to the Rose Bowl, if they win the Rose Bowl, come on. Are we even having this conversation? Are you serious? If Utah goes to the Rose Bowl, and especially if they win the Rose Bowl, and you wind up in the Freedom Bank Predatory Loan Bowl, in Poughkeepsie, you really feel like and you're still going to sit here and discount the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, let's go ahead and play the third string running back against Idaho State. Let's do that. Yeah.
Sorry, man. I just don't. I don't see any reason why A, you would discount the Rose Bowl, or B, you would discount Utah's season. Greg Wrubell tweeting about the attendance at the Stanford game is purely Bush League. And I love Greg. I have a lot of respect for Greg. Why? And I've never bought into the narrative that BYU obsesses over Utah, like obsesses over Utah. But how can it be anything when your play-by-play guy is tweeting about how, he said something to the effect of, oh, hey, 2 P5 teams played in front of 20,000 fans where, BYU and an FCS team are going to sell out. Well, as you just properly pointed out, it's senior day. Like, are you really tweeting negatively, Greg Wrubell, about Utah? Like that, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Well, if you're BYU, Utah should not even exist right now.
Yeah.
Because you're in position to play in a New Year's Six Bowl.
Listen, it's classic little brother mindset. Right?
I just don't understand it.
We're having all this success, Big 12. We're having a great season. Like, everything's awesome. But we need to tweet about Utah versus Stanford.
BYU fan CJ says, because Algier is leaving and we thought we had him another year. So, yes, I wanted to see. No.
Bro.
So, wait, let me get this right. So, we're here worried about next year now all of a sudden. Now it's like, oh, now we got to look at next. So, the season's over. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are we doing right now? Like, do you want to play in a New Year's Six Bowl or not? Did you get into the Big 12 so we could all have T-shirts that have the Big 12 logo on them? What are we talking about right now? Are you serious? Are you serious? So this is the BYU fan I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's this mentality where it's like, we're fine. So you don't value playing in a New Year's Six Bowl. I don't understand this.
It would be different if you were a one-win team and you were having some atrocious season. Okay, yeah, play your third-string guy. Cool. You're not, dude.
Who cares about Jackson McChesney? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? I want Tyler Algier to run for 300 yards against Georgia Southern.
Yeah. Rack it up.
I want 70 points. I want merciless football in 2 weeks. What are we even talking about? I don't understand it. Jeremy Bolton says, I don't. And there was a comment dump, so let me go back. Good morning, fellas. No saltiness from me this week. And I don't think scoring another 1 or 2 touchdowns more would have mattered. It wouldn't have. Okay, so you're a guy that is an AP voter, and you're in, I don't know, pick your East Coast city.
Boston.
You're in Boston. And you're looking at the ticker because there's not a chance in the world you watched BYU and Idaho State. There's not a chance in the world. You didn't watch BYU in their biggest, best game. Maybe you saw some of the Virginia game. Maybe. I highly doubt it. You're watching the ticker. Or you're watching the Saturday night wrap-up show right before you submit your ballot, which is what just about every AP voter I know personally does. And I know a ton of AP voters. They all watch the wrap-up show. And you're telling me that seeing BYU 72-14, Tyler Algier runs for 310 yards. You don't think that would have made a difference to an AP voter
Video
who does not
numbers.
Yeah, who does not watch BYU football, who does not even know who Jaron Hall is, has never heard Jaron Hall's name. You're telling me you don't think that if that's how you really feel, I just think you don't know how football works. Like, that would be shocking to me. Shocking. Now, thank God they're not going to know that you came out in the third quarter and did absolutely nothing. Like, nothing. You played, oh, thank God Jackson McChesney got to play. All right. No, not all right. Not all right. You didn't get a first down against Idaho State. I don't understand this at all. Like, I am in shock this morning over this. That there's not a BYU fan in the world who's like, yeah, I would have loved to have scored 70 points on Idaho State. I would rather be 14 instead of 15 in the AP poll. I'd rather be 10th instead of 12th when the college football playoff ranking comes out. It's shocking.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking. Do you not think that style points matter at all? Is that what you're saying, Jeremy Bolton? You don't think style points, stylistically, you don't think this would have mattered? This is surprising to me. Anyway, CJ says, we don't move up 5 spots if it meant nothing. What do you mean you don't move up 5 spots? You don't need 5 spots. You need one guy. Do you guys not know how this works? You need one guy. One guy on a playoff committee. You need one guy for a New Year's Six who's like, yeah, but man, even in a week where, it was Idaho State and they could have easily played their depth. BYU, they scored 70 points against Idaho State. And at that point, you're sitting around a table looking at box scores. And you're sitting and you're like, yeah, well, Algier ran for 300 yards against Idaho State. And it might have been Idaho State, but did you guys see what he did against Utah XYZ?
Yeah, they've heard of Algier.
We're resume building. We're resume building. How do you not see this? The way that this game is played is all about your resume. So when I say that, hi, I almost died. When I say that the SC game is meaningful, it might be the only game that matters on your schedule at this point. If you're unwilling to do what needs to be done against Idaho State and Georgia Southern, if you're unwilling to, curb stomp people, because that's what you need to be doing, you're an independent, you're BYU, nobody watches your games. Remember that narrative, right?
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
How many AP voters are going to watch BYU and Georgia Southern? 3, maybe 2? How many people are going to watch the wrap-up show and see what you did?
Most of them.
There's going to be a BYU highlight package on the college football wrap-up on ESPN. It's going to happen. Sports Center. What are we talking about? This is surprising to me.
Yeah.
Spencer Morgan says, hi, guys. Is the BYU talk over yet? The Idaho State win is a huge story. It is. Tanner Plummer says, Greg Wrubell is the biggest homer in the world. I can't stand it. Why is Greg Wrubell tweeting about Utah? I don't get that.
The guy's a legend, but I just was really surprised by that.
I was as well. I was really surprised by that.
I just don't think, whether you're Greg Wrubell or you're Kalani Sitake or you're Tyler Algier, no matter who you are, in the BYU community, there's just no reason to be tweeting about Utah. It doesn't matter. It's not. Yeah. It's over. You're past that. 5 weeks past that.
I'm warning you right now that Utah is having a storybook type season.
Yeah, and it's because of the adversity they face, not because they've played some amazing schedule.
And I feel like I'm the only one that's been saying it all year. You had everything to play for. Who cares what happened early in the season? Who cares what happened before that quitter left the team? Now that you have the right guy at starting quarterback, you're getting incredible play out of Devin Lloyd. I mean, you finally have your offense set up around one of the better backs in the country now.
Facts.
I mean, you're doing what needs to be done.
Yes.
And you're going to go to the Rose Bowl in all likelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably going to have a real good shot to win the Rose Bowl. Come on, let's go. Utah's having a storybook season.
You guys realize this is 2019 all over again, right? You're heading towards a Pac-12 championship game with Oregon, who you lost to in 2019. So how fitting would it be that you had all this adversity, you had people putting Witt's head on a chopping block, you had all this stuff happening, and now all of a sudden you're going to play Oregon again for the Pac-12 championship, and you're probably going to beat them this year. Honestly, with the caliber of football Utah is playing right now,
Well, even if you don't beat them, you're probably going to end up in the Rose Bowl, man.
But I'm just saying, it would be a fitting end to this season and what's happened to win the Pac-12 outright. That would be
and to end Oregon's shot at the college football playoff.
Yes,
Come on.
After in 2019, Oregon did the same thing to you, because let's not forget, Utah would have been in the what I call the Final Four, the college football playoff, had they beat Oregon.
And by the way, it's Oregon. How many times have you gone to Autzen to die? How many footballs were dropped at the 1 yard line on the way into the end zone against Oregon?
Yes, there's a lot here.
It's Oregon. You're building towards.
I don't know. Maybe people just aren't paying attention. Maybe BYU fan is just checked out right now. I don't know, man. It's weird to me.
Yeah, I just think that it is very interesting to me that Utah is where they are and BYU is. I feel like BYU fan is taking their foot off the gas. I really do. I feel like you had a good, not great season, and you're going to be, no matter how this season ends, I feel like BYU fan is going to be like, yeah, this is a great season. Woo! We beat Utah. Your season's not defined by beating Utah. So, and maybe it's because BYU hasn't beaten Utah in over a decade. Maybe that's what this is. I don't know. Your season's not defined by beating Utah. I got news for you. If you believe that you had a good season because you beat Utah, it is truly little brother syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. It's detestable. Because BYU football has had a good, not great season, and you've got 2 games left, and then your bowl game.
Yeah.
And all these next 2 games are critical football games for you. And if you're taking your foot off the gas because it's Georgia Southern, You don't belong in the college football playoff. You don't
Mhm.
belong in, you don't belong in a New Year's Six bowl. You belong in the Pool and Weed
You got to
Eater
be a
Bowl.
killer, man.
If that's your mentality, yeah, I don't care about the fifth string running back.
Why do you have Tyler Algier on the roster if you're not going to abuse a team like Idaho State?
Yeah, I don't know. It is. I think, yeah, anyway. Jordan Huey says, more style points would have been good. I think Kalani didn't want to risk any injuries to starters. Remember Taysom going for style points against Utah State? Yeah. Injuries happen, man. You're when you want to talk about depth is only in place because you have injuries.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Say Algier or Hall gets hurt late in the third quarter. Well, that happens in football.
Who would be surprised with Jaron Hall getting hurt?
Jaron Hall
Is
gets
that
hurt.
not who Jaron Hall is?
Yeah. BYU up 72-7. How well do you think that goes over? It's not a matter of what goes over well. You're trying to justify anyway.
Why do
Horatio Hornblower says the committee won't take time to see halftime scores of 42-7. No, they will not.
No.
No, they will
No,
not.
they won't. So
They don't look at halftime scores.
why do we
man?
give a damn what Idaho State thinks about being down
What
72-7?
What are we talking about? Do you think committees look at halftime scores? Not when they don't watch games. You're acting like people on it's the same thing with the March Madness tournament. Do you really think they watch games? They look at resumes. They're hiring somebody and they look at BYU. BYU's resume is, hey, if we put them in a big bowl game, we'll get 2 million TV viewers.
Yes.
Hey, if we put them in a big bowl game, we're going to probably get 60,000 BYU fans out. Hey, okay, well, let's look at their resume on the field. Well, they were up 42-7 at half and then didn't do anything in the third quarter because you better hope they don't look at the halftime box because what did BYU do in the third quarter with good old Jackson McChesney on the field? Nothing. They did nothing. Not a thing. Because you had your 1B quarterback, Jared Hall's 1. You had your 1A on the field. Call them what you want. Your 1A with no talent. No offensive line, no wide receivers, no running backs.
Which is more perplexing.
Why? Are you trying to get to a New Year's Six bowl or are you not? Because to me, it doesn't look like you want to go. To me, it doesn't look like that. Tanner Plummer says, Jordan Huey, that never happened against USU. Yeah, I don't think I'm trying not to be argumentative because I'm kind of annoyed right now that nobody seems to care. Like, I really don't think anybody cares if BYU goes to a New Year's Six bowl. I don't think there's a BYU fan in here this morning that cares if they go or not. And it's shocking to me.
Yeah.
Shocking to me that you don't care if you go to a New Year's Six bowl. Pool and Weed Eater Bowl or, pick a New Year's Six bowl. Hello? I'm amazed. I'm sitting here amazed by this. Utah fan is selling out to go to the Rose Bowl. Every Utah fan I know is like, going to the Rose Bowl, going to the Rose Bowl, going to the Rose Bowl. Can't wait to beat Oregon. Going to the Rose Bowl. And BYU fans like, yeah, it's Idaho State. Give me Christy Van Dinkelmeyer at running back. Like, what? What are we talking about? Greg's tweet was okay. So now the argument is Greg Wrubell's tweet was about Stanford. Okay, so here's the problem with that. Stanford never has fans that show up. Stanford is nothing more than a basketball and educational institute that plays other sports. That's it. I covered that team for a long time. Nobody cares there is not a passionate fan base about Stanford football.
Nobody's given a damn about Stanford since Bryce Love happened.
I kid you not. No, Bryce, never. Nobody cared about Bryce Love. Do you guys not understand? I am not exaggerating or being sarcastic. Saturdays at Stanford are spent in the lab. I mean, like the chemistry lab. They're spent at study hall. They're spent in the library. They're spent test prepping. If you go to Stanford, do you understand how difficult it is to be a student at Stanford when you don't play sports? They're not going to football games. They're not there to go to football games. That's why you get 24,000 fans. So Greg Wrubell is now taking a shot at Stanford? Why would Greg Wrubell be tweeting about Stanford? Greg's not tweeting about Stanford. He's taking a shot at Utah in the Pac-12. That's what he's doing. And I don't understand it. I've never thought of Greg Wrubell as anything but classy. This was a petty tweet. I love Greg Wrubell. I respect Greg Wrubell. I am shocked that he would tweet that. It's just like there's no reason. There's no reason whatsoever. Dax Johnson, good morning to you, Dak, says Greg's always tweets about college football games going on. Utah was the only notable game going on that night. Not that big of a deal. Yeah, maybe I'm making too much of it. It is what it is. Giggity, what's up? Cincy has not blown out their last 3 cupcakes and have exposed themselves. If they are blowout wins, then they're still intrigued. Cincinnati drives me crazy. UTSA. Why is UTSA even in this conversation? How? Like, what has UTSA done that's like mind-blowing? But this is a team that's top 20? This is a team you think belongs in, like, I'm amazed by it. How do we not? Yeah, anyway. Mind Axiom says, I love listening to you guys. It was a long weekend. Welcome back. Thank you. Jordan Huey says, I don't think that we don't care. We do. I think we know that the committee will figure out a way to keep us out. All right, let's talk Jazz because I cannot do it. I cannot do it.
Bro.
We're not a victim this morning. No. Hi. Let's talk Utah Jazz basketball.
Dude.
Please let this go better. The Jazz lose back-to-back in Miami and in Orlando, and the season's over. Quinn Snyder was fired after the game last night. And the team is once again up for sale. Your thoughts?
Wow. How about we do this? Because that was a very serious, very contentious BYU conversation. I just want to play this Cole Anthony interview after the game, and then we'll start there.
All right.
Okay?
So Orlando, you lose back-to-back in Miami and Orlando. Anybody that, as you said to me the other night, anybody that watches this team is not surprised by these 2 losses. It's not surprising at all. 118-115 in Miami, 107-100 in Orlando. Cole Anthony is a spectacular postgame interview, if you have not heard it. So here is the star of the Orlando Magic postgame.
David, I've been looking forward to one of these in person for quite some time, right?
Facts.
Come on, Cole. Down by 10 in the 4th quarter.
Facts.
What did you guys do to come back and win this game?
We fought, man. Shout out to the team, man. Shout out to RJ. Shout out to Dell. Shout out to Mo Bamba. Shout out to my whole team, man. We had to go get that dub, man. Shout out to the Magic, man. Let's go.
Mo Bamba? Come on.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
Mo Bamba? That was the highlight of that game.
Bro.
That was amazing. I'm not at all worried about the Jazz. These 2 losses, who cares? Come home, feel better about yourself, sleep in your own bed last night, and let's get back to playing Jazz basketball. I think there are a lot of Jazz fans that want to panic over these losses, but are you really, as a Jazz fan, surprised by this at all? As somebody who watches pretty much every minute of every game, I am not surprised by these losses at all. You have a situation, especially in Miami the other night, you just couldn't defend. Jimmy Butler was in the paint all night long. I'd remind you, Jimmy Butler scored, 27 points, and how many threes did he hit in that game, Jake?
0.
Not one.
Facts.
So, facts. Thanks, Cole. So what I'm saying is this is exactly who the Jazz have been all season. And really for the last 3 seasons, they struggle to defend. They cannot keep guys in front of them. And I love that you guys tweeted me about Royce O'Neal and, oh, man, 15 points a game. Royce, you're an idiot. Well, Royce is also a lockdown defender that got blown up the last 2 games. So, it's great that Royce O'Neal scored 15 points and you lost. And this is the Rudy conversation on Twitter last night.
Mhm.
Oh, did you get how you get jump shot? Okay, they lost.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
Like, these are the issues with this Jazz team are the same issues that continue to haunt this team and will haunt this team until you trade guys like Joe Ingles.
Yeah.
You have to get more athletic on the wings. There's just no way around that anymore. There's no explaining it away. You lost to a team in the Orlando Magic, who have the second worst record in the Eastern Conference. They're now 3-8, thanks to the Jazz, because they were 2-8, and now they won, and they're now 3-8. And it's amazing to me that when we look at this Jazz team and we really try to get into, hey, here's why you're losing. When the Jazz lose, two things generally happen. Rudy Gobert has a big night because the only way the Jazz really lose is to shoot poorly from three. And you give up points in the paint. And you get dribble penetration out of guards. And you don't have an answer for that at this point.
Yeah.
And then I rewind a little bit further, Jake, to Miami the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And Rudy's on the bench for long stretches of that game.
And something notable, if you were watching that game, you may have noticed this. Rudy looked pretty pissed at the end of the game. I mean, was I the only one who noticed that he was sitting on the bench like stewing, steaming, looking really upset? Like, I'm not saying that he's causing issues for the team, but it just looked like in that moment he expected to be in the game. And I think that I don't know, man. Like, I just think that he shows flashes of having a little jumper here, a little jumper there, but it's not consistent enough to be a difference maker, you know?
But we also know that Bam Adebayo is, pretty much the kryptonite kind of player. Him and, I look at that style of center, a guy that's got a pull up.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid's a problem for everybody. Write that one off. Mo Bamba.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
Thank you. Bam Adebayo. And by the way, I don't know why the Jazz broadcasters can't say his name right. Did you notice that the other night?
Dude. On radio and on TV.
Adebayo. Like, I swear, Bowler said Ado Bidet.
Who the fuck is that guy?
But my point is, I just think that these losses are, they're not that big of a deal. Who cares?
They're not.
You've got the second best record in the West. Who cares? Like, you're coming off of a stretch of games where you should be tired because you've traveled and you were home for 2 days or whatever it was. And you've played a lot of games in a short window.
I think they were saying it's like seven games
in 9 days.
It's
7 games in 9 days. And by the way, that's not going to change.
Yeah.
That's not going to change with the way the NBA works now. I mean, you look at what you have coming up, and, I think the thing that should worry you if you're a Jazz fan is you've lost 3 games the exact same way. You got out-athleted. Because you're better than the Bulls, you're better than the Heat, and you're certainly better than Orlando. But those teams are beating you because you cannot stop them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're this vaunted defensive team, and you're happy to beat teams like Atlanta, Sacramento, But when you look at teams that have quality wing players, guys like Cole Anthony.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero. That's not an accident, by the way. David Locke the other night was talking about how, oh, man, this is a miracle. You don't see this out of Tyler Hero. Well, yeah, you do. Tyler Hero's having a great year. And Tyler Hero, what did you say about Tyler Hero the other night when he was missing free throws?
Yeah, that he's missing the clutch gene. It's something that he's struggled with since I've known him. But he can light you up. He'll light you up in the middle of the game.
For 3.5 quarters.
He'll light your ass up, but then he'll miss the big free throw, or he'll miss the game winner, or whatever.
You're going to have Atlanta come in tomorrow night, and you're going to crush Atlanta. You should probably be able to beat Indiana. And then Saturday, I wonder what it's going to be like. Because, by the way, Saturday, I think, is an afternoon game.
Mm-hmm.
I think you play like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday against the Miami Heat.
Mm.
And I'm just curious.
Did you learn your lessons?
What's that going to look like? So these two losses in the grand scheme of things, if this is where it ends and you go on to win 10 straight, who cares?
The only thing I'll say out of these two losses that I think was notable is that this dynamic of the Jazz resting Mike Conley, which I do agree with, as I've said many times, you need to rest Mike. You got to keep him healthy. That has to be priority number one. But this dynamic in the games, like last night, where you're resting Mike Conley and Joe Ingles is going to play a ton more minutes because of that.
Joe looks gassed.
He looks tired.
He looks gassed.
And I'm not, I don't want to hear from, what is it, James or whoever, all the Joe Ingles guys out there. I don't want to see your comments about how I'm saying that Joe Ingles sucks. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that every NBA player has a shelf life. Every NBA player gets to a point in their career where their age is catching up to them. And it is just the nature of the beast. And I feel like that's what's happening to Joe right now. We're seeing some uncharacteristic turnovers. We're seeing some bad missed shots, although he is making some shots. So, like,
well, the turnover thing, I think, is the best indicator because Joe Ingles is a wildly intelligent basketball player. And he fills a role on this team. I mean, you can see where when they're struggling and Quinn knows they need to knock down a couple of threes, he's going to bring Joe Ingles in. They're going to run sets where Joe stands at the elbow and knocks down threes. He hasn't been able to do that the last couple of nights. And the cross-court passes and, just dribbling a ball off his foot, like you can see that Joe Ingles is tired. And, I mean, they've had a tough stretch of games. But when you look at what this team can do to improve on their current situation, I like Bojan Bogdanovic, but there's something not right there.
Something.
I can say this team has played a quarter of its best basketball. Like, we have not seen the best of the Jazz, not even close. Well, okay, Donovan's not particularly shot the ball well, although on this trip I thought he really stepped up, had some big moments. Like, you can see Don becoming Don again. Even with the ankle injury, okay, cool. But you could see Don becoming Don again. I don't see Bogey becoming Bogey. And the thing that really scares you is without Mike Conley, like, where's Jared Butler? That's starting to become a problem.
Yeah, dude.
Because he's not playing. He took a DMP last night. Like, he is not playing. And it's Jared Butler or Trent Forrest. One of those two guys needs to start playing a volume of minutes.
Yeah, consistently.
Because, I mean, we've seen this movie before, friends. You're going to have an injury, and then you're going to say, okay, Trent, let's go, buddy.
And then you're going to get mad at him when he's not able because he hasn't had minutes.
I'm telling you now, you got to load manage, and you got to play the young guys a little more. And I know that Quinn Snyder hates doing that. But somebody's got to tell Quinn, we need to play the young guys more. And I don't know how you go about doing that, but that's absolutely got to happen.
How are the Jazz not playing young guys against Orlando?
That's one of the worst teams in the NBA.
You know what I mean? Like, you're at the end of a road trip.
Yeah.
Your guys are tired. Why wouldn't you give Trent? And I mean, I know Trent played some good minutes in this game, but you get my point. Like, why wouldn't you play, Jared more minutes? Like, why? Like, it just, I don't know. To me, that was an opportunity.
And I don't think we've ever been here with the Jazz in the last 3 years where you can see now that a significant role player on this team is going to get moved.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know. I see a lot of people talking about Jordan Clarkson. Twitter was a blaze last night because he was just deplorable again. Do you trade Jordan Clarkson?
No.
I probably would not do that. I mean, Jordan's going to break out of this.
Jordan has saved you in postseason games. You're not trading Jordan Clarkson.
He's going to get out of this.
Yeah.
It's guys like Bogey and guys like Joe. Those are the kind of guys you're going to have to move.
I could see Royce being in the mix as well.
Yeah, I
mean, it's Royce.
What do I say about Royce O'Neal? I continue to be amazed that people are like, 6 steals and 15 points in Miami, and you lost. Like, it's the hard thing. It's the hard pill to swallow. Who on this Jazz roster right now is a championship caliber player? Well, there's two that come to mind. It's clearly Mike Conley and clearly Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Can you really say that Rudy Gobert is a reason you're going to win a championship? Well, defensively, sure you can. But you're not a good defensive team with him on the floor. He is an elite defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is that you can't keep anybody out of the paint, and he's only capable of doing so much.
And that's why you need to trade Joe Ingles. And that's why you need to trade Royce O'Neal.
You have got to find a wing player who can defend the other team's best player.
Not even joking. All jokes aside, that's why Terrence Mann is so valuable to the Clippers, because he can play individual defense. He's had one huge moment in his career, which was that game. But consistently, for those of you who are basketball nerds, you know that guy, the young guy, like a Terrence Mann, like a Jared Butler, that's what you need them to do. It's not so much that you need them scoring 25 a night. You need them playing defense for you.
The Butler thing is a head scratcher. I mean,
I don't get it. You moved up to get him, and now you're not playing him. I don't get it.
Well, you moved back to get him. And, I mean, he was a steal. But why is he not getting – I mean, just no minutes at all? Like, Joe Ingles is gassed. Play Jared Butler for a few minutes instead of Joe Ingles. Let Joe play – if you were going to – if Joe's playing 15 minutes, play him 10 minutes and give those 5 minutes to Jared Butler. Because no matter what you want to say about Jared's offensive game, and he has struggled, the guy competes defensively.
Mm-hmm.
The guy can play in the NBA, and especially on a defensive end. He will come around offensively. He looks like a scared cat, and
he'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out. But if you're going to lose games like this, get something out of it. Like, I mean, you got to get something. It cannot continue to be Don and everybody else, because we're seeing again that when the Jazz struggle, it turns into Don and everybody else, especially when Mike is resting on the second or the first or second end of a back-to-back. Tony Jones nailed that in the preseason. They're not going to play Mike Conley on back-to-backs.
No.
And the problem is when you play him in the front half and you lose. Because without Mike Conley, there's just way too much Joe Ingles. And you need Joe. If you're going to have Joe on this team, you need him to be rested and able to make threes.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Couple of comments on that. Gabe Lively says, morning, boys. Hope shredding Nar on the slopes was lit.
Shredding Nar.
Love you, dude. Paul Coleman says, I agree with you about the score. I think it was helpful to play Romney. Yeah, hey, cool, man. I think Baylor Romney's your best quarterback. Jordan McDonald says, the Jazz loss might push the front office to make a trade. I like JC, but he needs to go. Jordan Clarkson's, I don't think he's going anywhere. But then again, I mean, what player that you're willing to give up has the most value? But if Jordan Clarkson's not giving you points off the bench, who is?
Excellent point.
That's a big question, too. I'm pissed that Butler hasn't played. Quinn is screwing him. Definitely should have played against Orlando.
Yeah.
Spencer Morgan, Quinn's decision to rely on heavy minutes from Ingles instead of developing Butler is crazy. Yeah, exactly right. There's no way that Ingles, with his one spot up three in 20 minutes of play and getting beat defensively, is a better option than Butler. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that. Angry Astley says, Laker fan here, sign Isaiah Thomas and trade away Slow Joe.
I
don't think Isaiah Thomas is what this team needs.
I don't think he fits. Yeah, that's.
I don't, but that's just me. I think you've got to get better.
Yeah.
And it's tough to make a trade in November because you don't know who's available. You know what I mean? Once you get past the first of the year, once you're heading towards the home stretch in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to hear rumors about this guy or that guy or, how long are the Lakers going to stand pat? You need somebody, that you need that guy that can defend and shoot a three. You need the last couple of champions. You need a PJ Tucker type. You need you look at
Drew Holiday.
Well, Drew Holiday.
I mean, I know he's a signature player, but
I just think you look at, you need a Mikal Bridges type. You need, you need a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a great example of winning a championship for the Lakers. You need a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope because he gives you that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because he's a good defender. That's the guy on this team that you're missing.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, go stop that guy. Go keep that guy out of the paint. Go shut down Cole Anthony. That's what you need. You need that. You need that guy. You need the Iman Shumpert guy who's not going to take a ton of shots.
But he'll make the shots he gets.
And he stops a guy defensively because you have the guys to score on this team.
Yeah.
The Jazz don't need somebody that can come in and shoot a bunch and score it. They don't need that.
You're talking about a J.R. Smith type player, a great defender who can get hot.
If you think about the champions on this team or in this league recently, and you think about, the guys that really make that difference, those are the guys that are hard to find. And he's on the Suns, used to play for the Jazz, and why can't I think of his name?
Oh, Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder, thank you.
Yeah.
You need Jay Crowder.
Yeah.
That's the guy you need on this team.
Yeah.
So, all right, real quick, let's get to Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, hell.
Because I think you really need this is a huge story. Now, I know we missed Aaron Rodgers because we were shredding that Nar Pow.
Narbra.
This story is unbelievable. I want to play the Aaron Rodgers bite first because by now you know that he tested positive. He was never vaccinated. He lied straight away. Here's Aaron Rodgers talking about it.
Aaron, you said you like to learn as many things as you can and hang in any conversation. Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized.
Okay, so that was several months ago. Okay.
That was in fall camp.
Yes.
Yeah, he was there. Are you vaccinated?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the question. I'm going to play it again. Listen to the question and listen to the question and listen to Aaron Rodgers say, yeah.
Aaron, you said you like to learn as many things as you can and hang in any conversation. Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized.
Are you vaccinated and what's your stance? Yeah. Which means, yes, I'm vaccinated. Yeah, I'm immunized.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
So you said yes. Well, then you tested positive last week. And then you had this I don't know what you're going to play here.
Yeah, and then he goes on the Pat McAfee show.
Okay, so then he goes on the Pat McAfee show.
Yes.
And Pat McAfee, if you didn't see the clip on my Twitter, Pat McAfee laughs at who's very close with Aaron Rodgers, is covering his mouth because he's trying not to laugh at Aaron Rodgers here.
I'm 48 hours in, and I consulted with a now good friend of mine, Joe Rogan, after he got COVID, and I've been doing a lot of the stuff that he recommended in his podcasts and, on the phone to me.
So wait, you're taking advice from Joe Rogan?
This is amazing. Look, I listen to Joe Rogan's show every day. I would never take Joe Rogan's advice. And I don't know a medical professional who agrees with what Joe Rogan talks about. For Aaron Rodgers to take ivermectin and for Aaron Rodgers to believe that, and basically what Aaron Rodgers is saying is, I worked on my own immunity to strengthen my own natural immunity to prevent against COVID. Well, Aaron is just the latest example of, hey, that doesn't work, right? And then to go on Pat McAfee's show and say, well, I've been consulting Joe Rogan on my treatment. You didn't go to a doctor? You're not talking to the Packers medical staff? You consulted Joe Rogan. Do you understand how crazy this is? You are essentially handed world-class medical staff at your beck and call 24 hours a day as a starting quarterback in the NFL. As an NFL player, 24 hours a day. And you called Joe Rogan. Do you understand how crazy this is? And the bigger issue here in the NFL is Aaron Rodgers said, well, I've been doing everything. I followed COVID protocols to a T for an unvaccinated player, except the ones I don't agree with, which includes wearing a mask to press conferences. So you're just exposing everybody in that room.
Yeah.
Because you don't agree with it. Oh, but I'm immunized. Well, it turns out you weren't vaccinated either, which essentially are the same thing, by the way.
Yeah.
You're not vaccinated. You claim to have followed the protocols to a T, except the ones you don't like or agree with, and that meant you didn't wear a mask in the facility. So what are you going to do with Aaron Rodgers? Like, does the NFL suspend Aaron Rodgers? I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not facing suspension. They're looking into, what protocols were broken and things like that. So there's probably going to be some fines handed out. But it just kind of feels like, Aaron Rodgers has been allowed to do whatever the hell he wants. And there might be a slap on the wrist, but other than that, it's fine. And he's going to have to quarantine, obviously.
It's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
And the shocking part is the NFL knew he was unvaccinated. The Packers knew he was unvaccinated. And they let him get away with it.
Yeah.
They did not enforce COVID protocols. The NFL did not. The Packers certainly did not. And it's just like no big deal.
And my biggest thing for my biggest question, if I was, to ask Aaron Rodgers something, would be, what incentivized you to lie to the media? Because that's what he did, right? I mean, you said, "Hey, I'm immunized." You said
no.
Yes.
He was asked, "Are you vaccinated?" He said, "Yeah, I've been immunized." Like, play the clip again. He was specifically asked, "Are you vaccinated?" He said, "Yeah, I've been immunized."
Aaron, you said you like to learn as many things as you can and hang in any conversation. Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance? Yeah, I've been immunized. So, you lied.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
And it makes no sense.
What incentive did he have to do that?
And the funny thing is, like Boyd Lake says, Rodgers consulted Rogan after contracting COVID. No, he did not. Aaron Rodgers and Joe Rogan are very close friends. And they've talked about, you should go and listen to the Joe Rogan podcast. He's talked about it. They've been talking about this for months. 4 months. And it really, their conversations, as I understand it, heated up once Joe Rogan got COVID.
Yeah, because let's not forget, Joe Rogan did the whole ivermectin thing, and he went through all of that. And that was a huge, huge, huge story on this show. We specifically talked about it. So,
and to the point where, and people think Spotify leaned on him because Joe Rogan, I think, is $10 million a year at Spotify.
Yeah, something like that.
That Joe Rogan came out and said, "Hey, this is just what I'm doing. I'm not advocating for anybody to do anything. Like, don't take my advice. He said, I'm not a medical professional." But yet you're consulting Aaron Rodgers, who's one of your friends. Like, and by the way, what does the state of Hawaii have to say about this? Because Aaron Rodgers essentially spends his entire life outside of Green Bay in Hawaii.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
And now Aaron Rodgers, like, why is COVID like this in our country? I am amazed by it.
Yeah, I don't get it, dude.
I am amazed by it. I just can't even, I cannot even begin to fathom the misinformation. And by the way, it should be said that Aaron Rodgers claims that he is allergic to ingredients in the vaccines, but won't tell anybody what those ingredients are and how he knows he's allergic to them.
Mm-hmm.
He won't talk about it. Well, because that's HIPAA.
Right, of course.
I think that's HIPAA.
I'm just worn out on this. Like, I am truly worn out. I am so done with it. I'm over this. Like, I just can't. Emotionally, I can't do it. I'm so frustrated that because we just don't care about the person standing next to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, we went and played basketball yesterday. And I was thinking the entire time, hey, like, and I don't think anybody noticed, but like, I'm not standing around anybody. Like, when it was dead ball, I'm not standing next to my guy. Like, Jake and I try to play on the opposite team so we can defend each other. Because I don't want to play defense against other guys.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
I don't want to play Mo Bamba. And we're playing with this Viking guy yesterday. And it's
he's
all I'm
literally
thinking
known
about.
as the Viking.
Yeah, it's all I'm thinking about. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, Zachary Thornton says, "You're wearing me out too." Well, then don't be here. I mean, and this comes up every time we talk about politics or COVID. if you don't like our stance on COVID or politics, nobody's begging you to be here.
I really don't care if you think it's sus.
Like the funny thing is, you get upset about COVID and protocols, and Aaron Rodgers essentially said that the NFL was singling out unvaccinated players by making them wear a mask. Do you know how stupid that is? Like, do you understand? Like, you have to wear a mask, man. Like, but it becomes political. If you're uncomfortable with the things we say, you're welcome not to be here. Nothing that we say on this show is off the top of our heads or I mean, it's just the whole thing's frustrating.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
Giggity says, can we discuss how peach margarita separates men from boys? I agree. So we went to Mammoth over the weekend. And I don't really understand this about you because you are vaccinated. I thought you'd be able to handle a peach margarita.
Well,
Yeah, I've been immunized.
yeah,
Here we go. So we go to Gomez's, thanks to our friend Eric C. We go to Gomez's
yeah,
in Mammoth.
yeah.
Fantastic food. Great recommendation.
Excellent. Really well done.
You know, I think it is.
It's bomb.
Yeah, it was really good. And we had spent the day snowboarding, so I decided to get a pitcher of peach margaritas.
Mm-hmm.
How many did you have?
7.
Sips. 7 sips. Out of like this tiny glass.
Sorry, folks, that's what it is.
You barely finished a glass. Barely.
No, I had 2. I had 2.
No. You had one that was almost empty, so I refilled it, and then you tried to chug it, and you almost died.
Yeah,
You're unable to chug peach margaritas.
that's correct. I'm not a veteran in the margarita game,
Okay.
but it was fun. It was
I'm
fun.
the one that drank most of that pitcher.
Yeah.
So, thanks for helping.
Yeah, you came in clutch, man. You know?
Wings and peach margaritas, don't expect this guy to participate.
Yeah.
Because we used to go to Wingstop, and Jake was like, oh, it's Wing
I was
Wednesday.
like 10 years old when this was happening, by the way.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, I was.
No, you were like 15.
Okay, same thing.
Yeah, I know. You just don't, you're one of those guys who's like, oh, yeah, I can handle it.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
Stop it. Stop it. You're one of those guys who's like, yeah, I can handle it, and then you can't handle it.
Well,
You know. But yeah, it was great to get back on the board. I can tell you this. Mammoth was Friday at Mammoth was amazing.
mm-hmm.
I was actually nervous. I wasn't sure I'd be able to snowboard ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And getting back on the board, it was just like, I mean, it's like riding a bike, man.
Yeah.
You never forget it.
It was great.
The step-on bindings from Burton, worth every penny. I mean, they're awesome. They're awesome. And all I can say is I can't wait for the 19th of November because that's when Canyons in Park City opens. And then 5 days later, we're going to Hawaii for 10 days. So, you know. But yeah, the trip was great. It was good to get on the road. We drove to Mammoth, so it was solid 7 hours there, 8 hours back. It was awesome. The Volvo.
Wow. Wow.
The Audi was awesome. Klaus was amazing.
Facts.
Excellent.
How were the snow bunnies?
Don't feel like I saw a lot of snow bunnies. Did we see a lot of snow bunnies? I don't remember seeing a lot of snow bunnies on the hill. Where we had dinner, there was some, you know, so.
But let's talk about this real quick. So we booked a package deal at the Mammoth Mountain Inn.
Right.
Where you got a room and you got lift tickets. And it was a complete debacle. I'm not sure I paid for it, but they said you could check in at 2 o'clock. All right, great. We get there at 2 o'clock, like your room won't be ready till 4. Okay. And I said, hey, well, you know, I was like, all right, well, hey, can I just, you know, I need to get my lift tickets from you guys. Well, we don't see that you bought lift tickets.
Yeah, I know what time it is.
Well, you know, I bought a package deal online. No, we just see that you booked a room. So you have to walk all the way over to the main lodge. And the lady at the main lodge is like, yeah, here are your lift tickets. Like it was amazing. There was zero communication. So my question is, is that just because it's hard to hire people because they're clearly short-staffed? There's no doubt about that, right? You would, I think you would agree with that.
Definitely short-staffed. Yeah.
You're definitely short-staffed. So is that because there's a service industry issue, or you just think their process is broken?
I mean, I think there's a lack of people working in the service industry right now. I mean, that's no secret. I think we can all agree on that. But I think that you know, I feel like it's a safe assumption that when you order a package deal online with a resort and it says, hey, 2 lift tickets, a room, XYZ, and it's all kind of spelled out, that when you roll up to the front desk, your lift tickets would be sitting there waiting for you. Your room would be ready at 2 o'clock. They would clearly communicate the fact that you're not staying in the main lodge, that you have to walk about 50 to 75 yards to another building.
Yes.
Like these little experience things that you would kind of come to expect just weren't present. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it was all on the human beings, but at the end of the day, I just would have expected better. All of this to say the place also needs a renovation. So that's the other thing at play here. Like, that's why I like Vail, because even if you have a bad customer service experience, you're getting the best of the best in terms of room and experience and quality.
Infrastructure.
You know?
Yeah.
So, like, that's the trade-off you have. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was a fun trip. That didn't ruin the trip. Like, we had a great time.
And I should point out that the Audi cruises at 100 miles an hour. So this road that we drove out through Nevada, you won't be able to take that in the wintertime. But, boy, if you ever want to drive to Mammoth, and you want to do that through the central part of Nevada,
it's a great drive. There
is nobody around.
Yeah.
For 90% of the trip, you're on the road by yourself. So we visited with country, you know, meadow, middle of nowhere P guy several times, which was awesome. You know, you just pull over and, hey, man, you know, I'm just
you guys ever want to kick it, we'll flow.
Trying to contribute to the drought and stuff.
Right.
But it was awesome to be on winding roads. You know, within 20 miles of Mammoth, everything's a winding road.
Yes.
You're on the road by yourself, so you're essentially using the entire road. Like,
yeah, it's fun, dude. It's super fun.
It's super fun.
Yeah, it's super fun.
It is super, super fun.
Yeah.
So it was absolutely worth it. 100%, no doubt about it.
Hundo
worth
P.
it. But the final thing I want to talk about today is boarding our dogs.
Yeah.
So we have 2 dogs. My wife went to the Grand Canyon on a girls' trip.
Right.
We went to Mammoth.
Right.
So we boarded our dogs at this, you know, little dog resort here in Salt Lake City. And they do a great job. The dogs were out of their freaking minds when we picked them up. Like, I feel like the dogs did really well, you know, at this place. It's stressful to board your dog, though.
Yeah.
Like, it is stressful. Would you board the dogs? Would you try to find somebody to watch them? Like,
well, ideally, you would have like a neighbor who could just, you know, stop on by twice a day and let them out, and you know, because at the end of the day, you want your dogs to be able to be at home as much as possible.
Yeah, but you can't leave your dogs at home with your neighbor checking on them for 4 days. That doesn't work. And the place is literally called Little Dog Resort. They did a great job. Like, they feed them on your schedule. They give them their, you know, like we give them vitamins. They give them their vitamins on schedule. Like, they do all this great stuff for them. But like, my one dog came home. He was all like hoarse from coughing or from barking so much. Yeah. So all they do there is bark. Like, it is stressful, though. The nice thing is this place, like, takes pictures for you. And
it's not a resort issue. I just think for dogs, when you spend 95% of your life in the same place, on the same routine, doing the same thing every day, and then you're put around a bunch of other dogs and a different experience for a few days, it's stressful, you know? But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, they were lit when we picked them up. I mean, you know, Django, the little guy of the 2, was definitely, he has more anxiety than, you know, the OG Rhino. So I don't know. I think that it seemed like they had a fine time. I just think that they were ready to go home.
By the way, I did finally sleep well last night with my wife back in town.
Oh, good.
Like, it's odd to sleep alone.
Well, for you it is. For me, you know, I was forever alone. It's fine.
Yeah, because you're single.
Right. Yeah.
Anything new on the?
I mean, no. I haven't added any new conversations. I've been talking. If you remember, before the Mammoth trip, I had seen Megan. We took that walk around.
Another Megan.
You know, I know. Seriously, you got to come up with some better names. I have her and, you know, another person, and, you know, we'll see. There's not a major update. No, there's not.
All right, cool. Well, play the music.
Okay.
I hope there's an update soon.
Hopefully.
Because you already missed the window to take somebody to Hawaii.
Yep. I mean, I've been trying for like 6 months and failed epically. So
We're
it's
like
fine.
17 days away from Hawaii.
I know.
Today is the 8th.
Yeah.
So I am 16 days away from Hawaii. You're 15 days away.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. All right, make sure you hit subscribe. We are giving this Xbox Series S away when we get to 3,000. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Appreciate that. You guys should extend the show by 14 points for style points.
Yeah, well, we have a life. See, we go hard all the time. We don't play our backup.
Stop. Don't do it. Don't do it. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.